Good evening and welcome to the Get Up and Run podcast with the SheUltra Nightingales and my co-host Rachel. This evening, it's a paper and pen jobby. So if you are watching this or listening this and you have signed up for the SheUltra, or if you've signed up for any events, not only just ours, but anything, and you are new to a distance, this is one where it'd be good to get a pen and paper out and take some notes or rewatch it. We're lucky enough that the medic team, the SheUltra Nightingales, the core of the team are with us this evening. We've got head medic and head Nightingale Fiona with us, and we're going to go through in a relaxed way. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thanks very much for coming on this evening.
No problem. Hello.
Saying before we went live, whenever I was giving the first information bit out the other day, I got all kind of excited and nervous. And I don't know if it's the anxiety or the nerves from the SheUltra, entrance from this year. It's that kind of crackly January, February. Have I done enough training? When do I start training? What's the mandatory kit and stuff? So I think go with Esyllt. In terms of a first aid, we've got the mandatory kit list that we'll go through, but what we're talking about is, the first aid and safety first. The non-negotiables, what would you say for anybody to have in their own first aid kit?
Yeah, so obviously we'll go through the mandatory after. And the other thing is that, we are out there and we have got the stations, but there's so many entrants this year that we're absolutely so excited about. So we can't absolutely cover and make sure that we've got everything for all eventualities, because we're not quite sure how much stuff we're going to go through as medics at these stations. So obviously the very basic things is think about, you're going to be doing a distance. Some people will have done this distance before. Everybody can do it, okay? And you're all going to have different goals. Some of you just want to get to the finish. Some of you want to hit a particular time. Some of you just want to take it really easy and have a glass or two of Prosecco on the way. And that's absolutely all fine, okay? And we'll support you through that journey as well. Fiona's going to be out there on the field with you, and she's going to be co-walking and co-running with you. I'm not an ultra athlete. I'm not as fit as Fiona. So I'm going to be around checking up on stations, and we are going to be there, and there's going to be a medic presence at all checking points, okay? But essentially, we need to make sure that you think about the basic things. So Fiona, in terms of first aid, we have noticed that we go through a lot of plasters and dressings and foot things. So if you can go through a few of them with us.
I'll show you this plaster here. It's just a basic plaster, but it's better than what you can, the kids' little plasters. So this has got an adhesive on it. These are something that you can get in home bargains type of thing. So that sort of size would be ideal. And maybe micropore.
What would you... I'm gonna stop in between each item just to ask questions.
Fine.
That size plaster that you produced then, what would be why at what point would somebody have to use one of those? What would be a situation for them to have to use that?
So I've just opened this now to give you a sense of what it actually looks like. On the last few ultras or on the last few races, what we've seen is that lots of scrapes and knee things. So that sort of size plaster is going to be ideal for knee grazes or any type of little graze. Obviously, we'll have bigger plasters if we need anything bigger than that, but that's the sort of thing that we're looking for, really. Simple little plasters like that. That's better than things that kids have with Teletubbies on.
Yeah, and sometimes when you will have used usually the shoe wear that you are going to use for the SheUltra, and you're going to get used to it over this next 3 months now. So, general tips, obviously don't wear a new trainer or a new shoe just specifically for that event. Make sure that your feet are used to the walking. And if you know that it does rub in a particular place, although otherwise it's comfortable, if you can just put some sort of a tape, so you can buy a tape that you can use to occlude or just to protect those areas. So if you know that something just puts a bit of pressure on you, you can just you can actually use that and bind that before you get going, really.
On this side would be ideal for blister. Sorry.
Going back to tape, I suffer with hotspots, so I use just off Amazon. If you just type in K-tape, and I actually tape the areas that I know will cause friction. Prior to any race. Sometimes I do it the night before just to make sure the tape really sort of adheres to the foot. And 9 times out of 10, you're lucky and you don't have to retape, and it sees you through the race.
And somebody new to it, what does hotspots mean?
Where it's going to rub.
Okay. And
for me, it's always my little toe. For some reason, my little toe always rubs.
So if you get to the first checkpoint station, and you haven't already used the tape because you haven't before found that something's rubbing, and you can feel that sort of sensitive friction, let us know at the checkpoint, because it might not be too late to actually tape then. So it's better to try and prevent or to manage early, and because once it is really quite an uncomfortable friction and then a blister, then it's not as easy to manage, but we can manage them, so don't be afraid, basically. And
one of the little tips that I'd add in to, with your plasters and then the tape as well, if you cut the K-tape beforehand, if you do need it, but also if you're going to cut it curved at the top and curved at the bottom, so then it's easier to stay on. It hasn't got like a lip that might come off it and so on. And then, as well as the plasters and the tape, what else would you put in a little, first aid kit?
I would say paracetamol, or whatever you would take for general non-specific pain. Paracetamol would be a good one. We'll obviously carry some medication with us, but if you've got that yourself so you can take it sooner rather than later, that would be a good thing. Vaseline is another one that might be extremely helpful along the way.
What would you use Vaseline for, Fiona?
Everything. Kind of rubbing. Anything and everything. Blisters, chafing, anything like that.
I find on my lips, I always get dry lips.
Well, I got this
Vaseline or lip balm.
Lip balm, which is really handy because it's got one of these little things that you can put on your bag.
Ooh. Can you hold that up higher?
Yeah.
So, because we don't know until the morning or until the day goes really what sort of weather we're going to have. So we might get scorching weather, so we need to be prepared for that. So lip balm, sunscreen, and obviously a hat or a buff and sunglasses, that sort of thing. It might be extremely wet, so we need to prepare for that as well, don't we? So in that first aid kit, the sunscreen, the Vaseline, the balm, the tape, and then whatever else. I mean, we have at the stations, we do have sanitary products, but then of course there's quite a distance between stations, so that's something for you to consider. We don't necessarily need to carry them. And maybe a bit of toilet roll as well. You might feel the need for that. I don't know, some people carry nail clippers because they find that the nails can irritate, but again, you don't want to carry more than what you need, really, either, do you?
The only extra thing I have in mine, and I don't know if I always just keep it in my first aid kit, is one of the foil blankets, but mine stays in my first aid kit rather than as a extra.
Oh, yeah.
Do you carry insect spray at all?
No.
No, you don't, do you? Do you put any on?
I don't, but quite a few people have recommended it if is it certain seasons, or is it with the long grass with ticks?
Yeah.
But I haven't. I tend to not. Vaseline also works for that.
For that, absolutely. Fine.
And I think, as you mentioned, as we go on to the mandatory kit with nails, if people are going to cut their feet nails, if they do them a couple of weeks in advance rather than 2 days before, where you've pulled them right back and you've created quite a difficult situation for yourself as you're going along. So, if we go from head to toe with mandatory kit, obviously, if the weather's hot, get a trucker's hat on just to protect. A lot of people, whenever they do wear a trucker's hat, they don't know. I know it's just because I collect them. The difference between a trucker's hat and a baseball hat. A baseball hat, you won't have the mesh. You won't have the mesh at the back, which provides a sweating area for you. And a good quality trucker's hat will have, like the band there, so it'll stop the sweat going into your eyes, especially if you're a contact lens wearer, it provides, an extra barrier of the sweat to go down, which could cause irritation. Going into the whole, I think these aren't mandatory kits, but these are the in-between bits.
Go into your hat. I prefer personally, again, it's personal choice. I prefer a visor just because I like to pile my hair on top of my head. And I find just as a girl with long hair,
a
trucker's hat, you can only wear your hair in one style for me. So I like to have a visor. And then if it gets cold, I'll often put a buff over the top of my visor, keep your ears and the top of the head warm. But that's just, again, personal preference.
That's a great idea, though. It's a great way to use your buff, to protect. But also, if it was very hot, you can douse the water in that and then put it on there.
But some people might not know what a buff is, so I've just picked this up so that we can show people what it is. So it's literally, I know with lots of people who are listening are going to be, ultra runners and know exactly what they are, but some people may not know. So it's literally a piece of material that you can use as a hat or warm your neck up, or like you say, use as a headband or anything like that. So a buff is definitely something that you need to carry, and it's small enough to put in your bag.
Small and light, isn't it?
And around your wrist, they're so versatile, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're a great source of cooling down. As you mentioned, the Flynn Peninsula's got its own microclimate, and until we arrive in April, we're either stepping into the winter or the summer. It's one of those. Contact lens wearers, I'd certainly say, pack your eye drops in with you. Glasses wearers, it's the same as just wearing your glasses on a walk or a run. There isn't going to be any difficulties as a spectacle wearer sort of thing. But then if we look to the mandatory kit, we're talking about like the jackets, the rain jackets. Have you got one with you at all, Fiona?
I've got a couple. Actually, what I've done is wanted to show people what the difference is between a taped seam and not a taped seam.
Yeah.
So this one is basically just a windproof jacket. But if you look here, I don't know if the camera can show you, it's actually got tapes. It's got the...
Can you lift it up towards your head, Fiona, for the angle? Brilliant. Yeah, cool. Great.
So you can see the seam there, but it's not actually taped down. So a taped seam jacket means like this one. This is actually from Grebe Gore, which we've got a discount for. So if you look here, you can hardly see the seams at all. So they're taped down. So that means that it's waterproof. It's 100% waterproof and it's light. I've got a couple more to show, but there's lots of different makes. So you don't have to be spending a massive amount of money. But it's the same with the trousers, the bottoms. Again, so this is how small mine is. I don't know if you can see it there.
Brilliant.
It's tiny. So that's all it is. And when you open it up, it's an over trousers. So you just put it over everything that you're wearing.
And, in terms of temperature and the start of the event, with travel and people hanging around and getting ready, I think it's a good opportunity to, even if it's not raining, just to put your jacket and your trousers on, because it's easier to cool down than it is to warm up, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a big tip, actually, from all the races that I've done. I'm notorious, for anyone that knows me will know that I either put too many layers on. Yeah, I'm absolutely freezing all the time, so I put too many layers on. But what I've found as I get older is that I get very hot very quickly. So use layers rather than one thick piece of clothing so that you can take them off. And the day, depending on the time of day, will have a different temperature as well.
Because we are going to be starting early, aren't we? So it's an early start. It's probably going to be quite cool. There's going to be a few nerves there at the starting line. There's a little bit of hanging around, and you do cool down then, don't you?
But the big tip is, if you start getting hot, start taking the layers off straight away, because being too hot can be as problematic as being too cold. So take them off as soon as you start feeling it, because it can make you really tired.
Yeah, and I think as well, in other podcasts coming up, we'll be talking ways to reduce your anxiety pre-event, and I think the journey up to it now, should be filled with excitement rather than worry. Because if you're
Absolutely.
filled with worry, then you just need to train your brain a bit, because it's such a great day. It'd be like nobody worries about going to birthday parties or, you know, meeting up with friends, and that's what it is. So I think that's a big, you know, the brain first aid kit is how you pair, and that's going to be coming later on. So the first is what in the mandatory kit as well.
Yeah,
We've got,
I've got it here now in front of us.
Brilliant.
So if we start from the top, so head torch, and you've put down spare batteries for the head torch, that is definitely. So some people are going to be out there for just over 4.5 hours. Some people are going to be out there for maybe 15, 16 hours, if not more. So you are going to be running. Some people are going to be running in the dark. So you need a good head torch, and you definitely need either spare batteries or a power pack for that. With a cable, so that you know you can use it properly. So that's a head torch. Survival blanket, or survive. It's a bivvy bag. So I've got mine out here now. So I've never taken this out of the packets, as you can see. Never needed to. However, I have been in races where I felt recently I was getting hypothermic. If I only had a foil blanket, I would probably not be able to carry on. So some people are going to think, why on earth are you asking me to carry one of them? But I've seen it myself. You do need a survival blanket. So one of these, you're going to be able to actually go into like a sleeping bag.
Like a little cocoon, isn't it?
They're peanuts off Amazon as well.
Yes,
you just type it in.
Yeah.
You just the smallest one. Couple of pounds.
Definitely. I think they're about $4.99, that sort of price, nothing major. But this one happens to come with a whistle attached to it as well, so which is
Brilliant.
also on the mandatory kits. But I'll show you mine. So that was one. So another one is backpack. That's where we should start.
Can I park before we go to backpack? You know, the survival bag that you've got there, and you do get people thinking, oh well, you know, I might not need it. You know, I'm a 5-hour finish and stuff like that. But it's who you might come across
absolutely
as
well. And we, you know, if you are providing a support at any given moment to another entrant, you don't want to be having to look after two people because of that. So the survive, and you know, as Rachel said, the cheaper off Amazon. There's also the discount link with Creep Goch Outdoors, and it's something as well that you can throw in your car for future sort of, you know, for your own use in the future. And I think you know, the technology now with the different fabrics and so on, they're a great purchase. But yeah, brilliant. But yeah, the backpack.
Yeah, so backpack. There's lots of different ones out. And when I was checking the kits for the last ultra that we had on Penllyn, there was people coming with huge, and I mean huge bags that I was taking up to Everest. Okay, so you don't need anything like that. So I would recommend anything between a 12 and a 15-litre bag. So I've got both of them here. So this one was cheap enough from Decathlon.
Brilliant.
So this is a 15-litre. It tells you on the bag normally. 15 litres is more than adequate for what we've got on that day, because you've got the checkpoints as well. So this is going to be, it can carry anything and everything in there, to be honest. The main thing is that you find a bag that's comfortable for you, and that you start using it straight away. The other one that I've got is a much more expensive one. I've treated myself to recently, which is a Solomon one, which is a 12-litre. So this is smaller, but now that I'm getting used to only carrying what I need to,
and all your layers,
and all my layers, this is better for me. But most bags or backpacks will also have a whistle on it these days attached to the bag.
Yeah.
Make sure that you've got a whistle, whether it's on the bag or whether it's on a bivvy bag or separate. So
I definitely agree with sizing. Last year I crammed everything into a 10-litre, and it was so jam-packed. I couldn't find anything, but B, I actually caused a hotspot rub on my back because of the friction. So not long after the event, I then sized up to the 12.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, in terms of people who are brand new now thinking, what on earth do I need a whistle for? As part of our safety for all the entrants, you all get a tracker which is used throughout the world with international events like ours, and we can track you right to the very, very point. But this is the however. Sea mist comes in onto the Llŷn Peninsula, or it's a very, very misty start, or you're going across Ganfadrin and the mist is in, and you need assistance, and you have phoned us. If you're blowing a whistle, we're going to be able to track in a lot quicker. So that's our duty to you in a sense. So by having the whistle, I know, and I think what we're hopefully doing this evening is giving you all the reasons behind it, where you might have thought, what's the reason behind this? But then you think, right, okay, that's the reason for the whistle, which is such a simple, light thing to carry, but it's a
like Fiona says, most of the
bags,
even if you purchase one off Amazon, Decathlon, they all come with them, normally a standard.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And then what else was on the list?
So now we're down to water, and you've got down minimum 1 litre. So the bag normally come, I don't know if you saw that there now, with the soft bottles in them. So just show you what a soft bottle looks like for those who have never done anything like this before. So they go into nothing, and they go into the side pockets on your backpack. So you can either use them, or as long as you've got a litre to carry with you at all times, and there'll be plenty of water at every checkpoint.
Now,
that
the litre is a minimum,
yeah.
and this is where we're going to just stop for a moment. If you are new and you are a walker rather than a hiker, and you think, I'm going to take quite a while, I'm going to enjoy the day, I'm not going to go at a very fast pace, be mindful and think, do I need to pack an extra bottle or a bigger bottle? 100%, because although we've got the aid stations and there is extra water stations in between all of this, for your own enjoyment, just think, do you know what? I think I might take another bottle of water and just put it in the side or in the front bag.
Last year was really hot.
Yeah.
Like really hot.
And you're
wearing a vest.
You don't want to start feeling anxious that you're running low on water either. And some people like to drink more than others. I tend to drink quite a bit of water when I'm walking. My daughter doesn't carry any. So what you're used to as well, isn't it? And just plan for it. You don't want to start feeling uncomfortable.
No, and especially at the start of an event, if it's your first one, you might anxious drink.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. And in terms of the toilets, we have extra toilets on all the SheUltra events. So rather than your normal event you'll be taking part in, you'll notice there's a lot more toilets and so on, and we'll be sending out where the toilets actually are. So that will, I think, help any anxiety for you watching this. If you do go to the toilet more than normal, you'll be able to know, right, okay, there's 1 mile 2, there's 1 mile 3, then there's the main one at the first aid station, and there's another. We have extra toilets at the start as well.
Yeah.
Esyllt said that all the aid stations have sanitary products, but we also have sanitary products in all the rented Waterloos. So you'll know any of those there will have them in there. We also, just stopping for a moment, we have hygiene bags in all the toilets as well. So these are wipes, cleans and stuff. If you do require a hygiene bag to be dropped off, or if you have got somebody that you'd like to have a hygiene bag along the course for you, then if you get in contact with us, we're able to do that for you, no problem at all, because we know some women might be on their period whenever they're taking part, and you don't want to feel uncomfortable. So although there's a full field taking part, we've put in place, as well as last year, for that. So
pause again before we move on any further. Going back to the water, you said a minimum of 1 litre. So ideally the women need to drink that 1 litre before they get to the next aid station. because if you don't drink that much, then you probably you're going to get dehydrated. So you need to have, as soon as you know there's an aid station coming up, a good tip is that you start emptying your bottles by drinking it as quick as you can. Well, not as quick as you can, but making sure that you've drunk it all before you get to the next one. So that's a good way of knowing that you've hydrated yourself well throughout the course.
The dehydration can also cause cramping if you're well. So everything starts seizing up, everything starts hurting, especially your calves. Yeah. Last thing you want when you're in the middle of nowhere.
And if we go like onto fluids and so on, and this is going to be a bit new to a lot of people, electrolytes is key. Doesn't matter if it's not hot. I'll let you carry on, Fiona.
So what I was going to suggest is we will be carrying salt tablets along the way. So if we think when we come across you that you need them, we'll give you some at the time. However, we're not going to ask everyone to bring salt tablets with them because you might not be used to it or anything like that. We'll only give them to you when we think you need them. However, between now and then, there's more than enough time for people to start practicing with this type of thing. So these are just something that you get in home bargains, and they're literally tablets that you put in water, dissolve, and they give you all the electrolytes that you need.
And is there about 20 in that pack?
This particular one,
yes, that in it. Yes.
I personally don't like these, and I can't get on with them. So it's a good idea for you all, if you're going to be trying these, to try them now, really. And there's nothing wrong with people having one of these a day in general, day to day, anyway. So. So that's a good idea.
When you're racing, when you're walking, you might feel a little bit sick. Anyways, if you actually ingest something that you're not used to, you might feel nausea.
So and I think that is key. Don't try things that you haven't ate before.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. We've got such a selection at all the aid stations, as well as we've got the Italians. Whenever they came to do one of our events, they said it's like the delicious trails because we've got such a lovely selection and local produce. But I think try your electrolytes now. Like Fiona, I didn't get on with electrolytes, so what I used to take was Diorolite. If you whenever you've got a bad stomach or whatever, I used to put Diorolite into one of my bottles of water, and I used to have that because whenever you've got a bug or you're sick, that you all right. So I definitely say practice it beforehand and just get into the habit.
And if we,
flavors as well.
Sorry, Rachel.
No. I'd say there's so many different flavors, so it might be one that you really like, one that makes you feel sick. So just have a play around. Like I say, they're under £1 for about 20.
Yeah.
So
because I don't like them, what I do is I have the tablets that I take 2 in the morning before starting the race. That's not enough really for me, but that's all I can do. So you definitely need to be practicing now.
And as medics, if you come across us on the field or on the finish line, and that we do recommend them, I mean, you've got capacity, you can say no, but please trust our judgment as well, but we're not going to force you to take anything. But, we will be advising according to experience and medical advice as well.
And remember, you can pause this and go back on what you're writing, because if this was me now doing my first ever, I'd be like, I'd be like 12 litre, 10 litre salt tablets, and this is what we found last year. Why we had, we've got other like helpful tips on the YouTube. The handy thing is you can watch what we're talking about at your own leisure. You can watch this in blocks. After we're talking at this bit now, you think, do you know what? I'm going to pause it and I'm going to rewind and watch this bit and then catch us up. And it serves good purpose just after this event as well. Yeah. Oh, rewatch this. It's handy. So we've gone through that.
Yep. So we're down to snacks now on your list. So what we were talking about this earlier, Hughes just said now that everyone that comes on the course is going to have, they're going to have the best buffet that they've had in a long, long time. Yeah. So there's plenty of food around. However, it is very good advice to be carrying something in your bag. Anything that could happen, you might get really, really starving at any point. So if you start getting hungry before you get to the checkpoint, And if the checkpoint is more than 3 miles away, 2 miles away, don't wait to get there. Eat whatever you got straight away, and then you can replenish your snacks by taking something off the aid station maybe, so that you've always got something. So eat. And a good tip that I learnt on the backyard was start eating straight away, basically.
Once your sugar level starts dropping, you're going to feel sick and you're going to feel like you don't want food. So it's better just to keep on going.
Literally, it's like a buffet for the whole day. Just keep eating.
Yeah.
And I think, don't worry about taking food from the aid stations with you. That's what we're there for. We've allocated more than enough per person. So don't think it's all right if I take these. Just take them and take them with you and enjoy the snacking.
A good thing is to bring a sandwich bag with you, so that you can fill the sandwich bag off at the aid station with your food and then pick as you're going along. So don't think that you have to stay at the aid station and fill yourself up, because you'll get bloated by just doing that. So if you take bits off and put it in a little sandwich bag and eat it as you go along, that's a good tip.
Oh, I'm pinching that tip, Fiona.
That's a great tip.
I'm just thinking, I think I want to do the ultra, not stand at the end.
No, but
I've got a little front bag as well, like a bum bag that I
was about to say.
Yeah. So as well as the backpack, I've got a bum bag at the front that I put the food in the sandwich bag in, and then I just pick from there.
I put all my essentials in that: phone, food, plaster, thing that means I don't have to stop to take off. Just grab and easy. Yeah.
That sandwich bags are cheap, because back in my day I used to be walking around with food in my or trying to stuff. You'd find like a little bit of a sandwich in your pocket. But put it in a sandwich, and these little sandwich bags. These clear sandwich bags. The clear sandwich bags are what you can put your first aid kit into to save weight.
Brought one here
just in case you don't know what it is.
Brilliant.
But so you were talking about the bags now, what you hear with the little bags. So I've got some of them. I've got another one here. So this one actually is just a little red one. So I thought this was a good one to put the first aid in, like an emergency thing. So what this is, it's only a cheap one off Amazon, and on Amazon they come in packs of 5, and there's lots of different sizes. Yeah. So and different colours. So I think they were about £12. So they are dry bags, and what you do is you turn it over and then you just click it, and then it's completely dry, anything that's in there. So these bags, I've got about 5 of these inside my backpack, because you don't know if it's going to rain. Also, your sweat is going to get the stuff that's in your backpack wet. So different colours for me will have different things in. So this would be like a first aid bag for me. One of the others might be spare socks and gloves and all my layers. So that's what I normally use these bags for. So everything's organised inside my bag with different colours. They sell these in Grib Goch as well, but they do tend to be extremely cheap on Amazon, to be honest.
Brilliant. And I think as well that helps during an event where sometimes your brain is just concentrating on other things. It's
I write on mine in my.
I was going to say, even if you use a Sharpie, first aid.
That red one did have medication written on there, but you couldn't see it. But yes, I've written on my bags as well, so I know it's exactly what's where.
Also, if anybody, say something happens and you've had to stop on the course, anybody then also can help you in your bag and can see clearly what, instead of rifling through, it's obvious that's got dry kit in it, that's got proof.
Yeah. So we're down now to emergency taxi fare you've got down on the list. I've actually had to use my emergency taxi fare once. So it's handy to have. And these days they're all waterproof anyway, aren't they? The £20 notes, so that's ideal.
And also, a bonus is that later on in the month or in a couple of months' time, you'll go and get a bag on and you're like, oh, I've just found 20.
Yeah.
And with modern technology, a lot of people might say, well, why can't I use my mobile phone? If your mobile phone gets wet.
And not all taxis on the Llŷn Peninsula, not all taxis in Llŷn have got contactless either. So
we're down to mobile phone with a sufficient charge and power bank. Again, this is definitely something that you will need. a power bank, and we do check that on the day before you run. So that's that. Watch now then. You don't have to have a super duper watch, but you can get relatively cheap ones now. The one I've got is a very simple one because I'm not that tech. I'm not really good with technology, but mine happens to have maps on it. So I do sort of know the course on Penllyn now, but it's just peace of mind to have the map there. So the GPX that Hugh sends out, you just download it onto your watch, and then my watch will tell me every time I need to turn. So if I've gone off course a little bit, it'll tell me to come back on. So that's a good, or just have it on your phone, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the women taking part won't have that technology or require it, in the future.
Yeah, so I have a watch that's got the capability, but I didn't actually use that feature last year because I literally just turned all my settings down to nothing. And my only concern sometimes with the maps is it can drain my watch battery.
Yeah.
You're a fast runner, so you finish way quicker than I do.
And I'm going to give you all like a top tip for this is for the walkers and the hikers, not the runners who don't have the watches. Your mobile phone, charged and so on, will have sent out a couple of days beforehand the trackers link, right? So the trackers link is for your friends and family to see where you are, but also the behind the scenes team are able to see where you are on it. Also, that means if you are on course and you're not really sure where you are, although there's loads of signs, if you click onto your name on the link on the tracker, you'll be able to zoom in and see where you are on the course, which is brilliant. Yeah. So if you don't have the watches, it doesn't matter.
There are also so many people on the course. The chance of you being alone and not being able to see somebody, I doubt it would ever happen.
Yeah. And we've got last year there was an area for like about a mile where somebody had moved the signs, and we sent the welfare and safety team out just for you watching this, for a knowledge of what's happening, is as well as the medic team with Fiona and Esyllt, there's also even more medics, female medics, that are going to be there on the day. We have got 95% of the event team is female. We've got a 5% of males way behind the scene working with the police and working for the safety and for the welfare of you. All the men that are working on the event will all have a DBS check. So you know that you are within safe spaces, and that's what's crucial for me as an event organizer. We also have a presence of one or two male event team in and around aid stations with the local police. There's also plainclothed police in and around. Once again, if there is an opportunist that thinks, well, then they're aware that you are in such safe spaces that there's zero anxiety for that sort of thing. So, we've got almost 200 event team in and around and on the course for the SheUltra.
And all the that are on our team are predominantly all ultra runners and also people that we use on a regular basis at events, aren't they? They're all known to us. They're all people that, like you say, DBS checked and good knowledge of, the race.
Yeah, and I think we're very lucky here on the Llyn that a majority of the event team are local sale, and we know each other, ultra runners, but a lot of them, a lot of the SheUltra female ambassadors, they're just Joe Public who, like yourselves, a lot of the walkers and hikers thought, what, I really want to give this a go, and they overcame their, the little words that are starting, as well as the first aid and the mandatory kit. What we're able to offer this year as well is, if you want, we're able to get one of the SheUltra ambassadors, and this is from walkers, talkers, hikers, and runners. If you want one of them to give you a call back just to answer any questions or go over anything that you might be just a little bit anxiety or a little bit of fear has come in and you want them to give you a call, they will. And this facility, I think, is just great because I remember whenever I did one of my first big races, and I had the opportunity to phone up somebody that did it, and you were like, and then you left the phone call, you're like, yep, okay then, I'm going to do it. Because you're speaking to the future in a sense, and it's like, yep, off I go. I think, is that correct, Fiona? Do you feel the same?
Yeah.
It can be really daunting, but it really doesn't need to be.
No.
And I think it's just disposable cup. No, not disposable.
So let's finish the mandatory kits, and then we can just. I have got another one somewhere, but I can't find it at the moment. But this is the type of thing that we're talking about. So again, this is something that you get on Amazon. So it's like this, so you can get and then there's a little top there that goes on top, and this just hooks onto your bag as well. So these are about £5, if that, and it's just so that you can have maybe a flat Coke or something like that, or something different to water at the aid stations, because it's all plastic free. So that's disposable cup. Now, at the bottom of your list, you've got poles. So
poles is optional.
Yes,
that's an optional.
Like hiking.
Optional. But myself, I use poles in ultras. So there's all sorts of different poles that you can get. So mine are really, really light, but obviously I use them a lot, so I don't mind paying a lot of money for them. So you can get said poles like these here that you just open, and I can actually get these off my bag when I'm still running and carry on with them. So I actually run with my poles. They can be extremely helpful on the llyn because of the terrain. You can take a lot of pressure off your knees. So they are optional, but if you've got them and you're used to having them, then I would definitely take them with you.
Would you suggest that, Rachel and Fiona, if you're not used to them, don't bring them along just for the day? No. They're just going to be an obstacle.
And they can be. It can take a while to get used to actually using them efficiently. It was actually the Trail Fest. I learned so many new things about using them from that last year that I'd been using them for ages and didn't realise certain tips. So if you don't use them on a regular basis, don't bring them, I'd say.
We've there's just a few little things, like extra little bits and bobs. I forgot with the first aid, maybe a couple of alcohol wipes. Just
brilliant.
Again, we're talking sort of if you get sort of a graze or the feet type thing, it's just nice to know that you've got a clean area. And just really simple things like an extra hair toggle, something just very simple things like that, really, the extra things. Some people like to have a good luck item with them. I know here we were talking about doing more sessions on sort of well-being and stuff, but has anybody given you something as a good luck? Are you running this race because of the female cancer charities? Is there something that's sort of sentimental for you that you'd like to have on you? Nothing too heavy, no fancy dress or anything like that is gonna and again, when we're talking hydration, I know that last year some women really enjoyed a joch or two of prosecco along the way. If that is the case, make sure that it is minimal unless you hydrate appropriately with it, but there's certainly going to be prosecco at the end, isn't there?
And I think we'll go into that in the next one, but in terms of good luck things, we talked about Sharpies earlier. Write positive words on your water bottles. Or on the buff, and it's little things like that. And a really nice one, I think, is maybe have, especially for the walkers, get members of the family to write you a 10-mile letter, a 20-mile letter, and a 30-mile letter.
Nice.
And then it all goes a little bit, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, like, we've got to get to mile 10, you're crying. But it's like, the reason you're doing it is the reason you are doing it. And I think that's like, give myself goosebumps, want to write myself a letter.
Absolutely.
My biggest tip is, I think, your mind is going to give up before your body. Okay.
Absolutely.
So the body is definitely going to get everyone around the 30 miles. So you're running or walking with at least, what was it, 1,008 we're up to now?
1,008, yeah.
1,008 women around you. So there's always going to be someone to talk to. So if your mind's going to give up, or you think, I can't do this, just talk to the person next to you. Moider about anything and everything. I'm a really good moiderer, especially when I'm running. So I'm going to be out on the course with you, here, there and everywhere. So if I'm there and if you see me, moider me as much as you want. And I can moider you if you can't be talking, if you can't get the words out. It doesn't matter whether you're the first person to cross the line or the very last person to cross the line. I'll be there coming over the line with the very last one anyway. So I'll be, because I did it last year as well. So it doesn't matter. Just talk to people and you will get around the course. Everyone's going to be able to do it.
And talking to people, as well as the roaming medics with Fiona, there's also the SheUltra ambassadors, and we have all abilities of SheUltra ambassadors who will be on the course. So as well as the ones running at the front, there's the hikers, there's the walkers, and we've got something that's called sweepers, for any of you new to it. And these are women who are walking behind absolutely everyone. So if you are at the back, they'll be walking with you. They're normally local, so that you'll get your own little tour of the Llŷn Peninsula, telling you different things. But there's no cut-offs, only smiles. And the lovely thing, I carry it with me everywhere. And I think you do, it gives you like inner courage. You all get your SheUltra medal before you start. You with me? So this is one to take away any pressure or anxiety, but also for the women that we've lost to cancer and the reason for the SheUltra. So you just know what you're doing is making such a difference. It is just incredible. You know, we'll be sharing more videos and you'll see where the money's going directly and how you are helping, and bringing this with you. You know, hold that in your hand if you're having like a little bit of a moment where you need to start talking. But oh, brilliant. I can't thank, you all enough this evening for that. Any questions I'll put in the notes. Send them to info@thembeautifully.brutal. Callbacks from the SheUltra ambassadors team were able to do that. But has anybody got anything else to add this evening?
I was just going to add, you'll be sending out our phone numbers before the race anyway. So if there's any women out there that think, oh, I'd like some advice about this or whatever while you're on the course, obviously they can phone Esyllt or myself, and Esyllt will be able to guide me to wherever the person is on the course if that's what we need to do. So for them to be able to ring us sooner rather than later if they need to at any point. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great, yeah. And I think we've got your back. We want you to finish this as much as you do, and I think seeing so many people enjoy it. Out of the 500 women that took part last year, 8 didn't finish, and that was simply because they were just a bit tired, or it wasn't.
They actually decided just to stop in the pub, so they just finished just a tiny bit earlier, didn't they? So which
let's
is great.
Not start with that, please.
But we're confident in our ability. We're very confident in your abilities. So there's absolutely no reason why you're not going to have the best day ever, and you're definitely going to want to do it again.
And you're going to call yourself an ultra runner.
Yeah, no cut-offs. Everybody can walk. Everybody can put in front of another. So
and they're going to be in the minority of the people of the world that's actually completed an ultra.
Absolutely, which is incredible. It's incredible.
Girl power.
Yeah,
girl power.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to let you all go now because you're going to watch football, aren't you, Esyllt?
And I know who's
right,
going to win.
and see you all again soon.
Thank you. Bye.